Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a totally counterintuitive secret drawn straight from the War Library's insights. It reveals what every wealthy person you admire actually does behind the scenes. We're going to completely shatter the biggest myth about money that society has fed us for decades. And by the time we finish, you'll have a concrete, actionable blueprint for true financial freedom. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's test our assumptions right out of the gate with a simple puzzle. Who is wealthier? Just hold that question in your mind for a second. Let's really think about how we judge financial success when we see someone on the street or in the office.
Let's look at the actual numbers behind two different people. On one hand, we have Chinidu. He brings in 250,000 naira monthly, but he strategically saves 75,000 of it. On the other hand, we have Ibrahim, pulling in a massive 1.2 million naira, but spending 1.18 million of it. Now, most people immediately assume Ibrahim is richer. I mean, his income is nearly 5 times higher. But fast forward a few years, Chinidu mathematically crushes him. Why? Well, because true wealth is determined entirely by what remains in your pocket, not the massive volume of cash that simply flows through it.
So here's exactly how we're going to untangle this illusion together. We'll start with the great money illusion, then dive into the psychology of spending, figure out how to build your wealth gap, compare saving versus investing, and finally construct your long-term wealth blueprint.
Section 1. The Great Money Illusion. This is all about breaking the deeply ingrained societal belief that earning a high income automatically makes you wealthy.
We have to completely redefine what wealth actually is. Wealth is simply what you keep, not what you earn. Think of your income as a water pipe and your wealth as a storage tank. A massive, high-pressure pipe bringing in incredible amounts of money means absolutely nothing if your storage tank has a giant hole at the bottom, leaking every single drop that comes in. You just cannot fill a broken tank.
And this brings us to the biggest hole in that tank: lifestyle inflation. You know exactly how it goes. You get a raise, and suddenly your perfectly fine apartment just isn't good enough anymore. You get a bonus, and you suddenly feel like you literally need that new car smell. This dangerous trap is exactly why so many highly paid doctors, celebrities, and business owners quietly go broke. They're trapped on an exhausting treadmill where their expenses are constantly chasing their income.
Section 2. The Psychology of Spending. If the math behind keeping your money is so incredibly simple, why is it so hard to do?
Well, we have to admit that most purchases are emotional long before they become logical. Think about it. Stress from a bad Tuesday at work, sheer boredom on a Sunday afternoon, or maybe just celebrating a minor win. Companies are incredibly smart. They aren't just selling you a phone or a car, they're selling you feelings. Feelings of confidence, social acceptance, and prestige. It's a psychological game where we end up buying things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we might not even like.
There's a massive distinction between being rich and being wealthy. And man, we constantly confuse the two. We get tricked by social media highlight reels into spending money just to look rich, displaying a high income through luxury clothes, expensive dinners, and flashy cars. Meanwhile, real wealth is actually invisible. Truly wealthy people quietly build assets. It's the investments compounding in the background, the solid emergency funds, and, the ultimate luxury, total peace of mind. Section 3. The Wealth Gap. Now let's redefine the core concept of this explainer and learn how to actually build that financial space.
Listen to this, because it's a really profound shift in mindset. Living below your means is not a punishment. It is preparation. So many people think budgeting means being stingy, never going out, or just living a miserable life. It's absolutely not. It's simply creating an intentional gap between your income and your expenses. That specific gap is the exact place where true wealth is born.
This brings us to the secret wealth formula. You see, most people earn money, spend it all month long, and cross their fingers hoping to save the scraps at the end. The wealthy completely flip this flawed budget upside down. Step 1. Income arrives. Step 2. Subtract your savings immediately. You absolutely have to pay yourself first. Step 3. Spend what remains. This simple one-minute behavioral shift changes your entire financial trajectory. A realistic beginner breakdown to achieve this is actually pretty simple. Imagine allocating 50% to your absolute needs, like rent, utilities, and food. Then 20% goes straight to savings and investments. Another 20% goes to personal goals. But importantly, 10% is fiercely protected for enjoyment. You explicitly allocate funds for guilt-free fun, hobbies, and dinners out. When you structure it this way, you control the money. It doesn't control you.
Section 4. Saving versus investing. Once you've created that financial gap, we need to transition from playing defense to playing offense.
Saving and investing are two wildly different tools. And honestly, you need both. Saving prioritizes safety. It's your emergency umbrella. It's an absolute must for building your 3 to 6 month emergency fund to protect you from life's surprises. But if you leave your surplus cash sitting idle in a savings account forever, it slowly dies to a silent killer: inflation. Investing is how you prioritize growth, so your money actually outpaces the rising cost of living.
To achieve true freedom, your money has to compound over time. And hey, you don't need a Wall Street degree or millions of dollars to start. You can use mutual funds, stocks, real estate, or even invest in your own skills through high-value certifications. The most important factor isn't necessarily what you choose first, but that you just start. Because the earlier you begin, the more powerful that compound growth becomes.
Section 5. The Wealth Blueprint. Let's move to our final section and see how this all builds into a practical, actionable roadmap for your financial future.
The very first step in your blueprint is strictly defensive: dodging the traps. This means fighting the urge to spend everything you earn just to impress others. It means refusing to rely on a single income source that could vanish tomorrow and running far, far away from get-rich-quick schemes or toxic consumer debt. Protecting your money from these deeply ingrained pitfalls is literally half the battle won.
Once you dodge those traps, you step onto the timeline of wealth. And it's an inspiring climb. In a matter of days, you master your mindset and start tracking your expenses. Over months, you build that crucial emergency fund and crush bad debt. Over years, you consistently acquire income-producing assets. And over decades, you achieve true financial freedom. Wealth isn't built in a weekend for sure. Patience is your ultimate superpower.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really powerful thought from the War Library. Wealth is not measured by how much money passes through your hands. Wealth is measured by how much money stays, grows, and works for you long after it arrives. So, here is the question you need to ask yourself right now. Are you building a life that just looks wealthy, or are you finally ready to do the counterintuitive work to actually become wealthy?